Well, just going to jump on into it. Hopefully some more join in here. I'm going to be going live with World War Bitcoin at like 10 a.m. In about an hour or so, 45 minutes or so. Yo, what's going on, Marcus? Alisana. Alice Nana. It's always interesting to see what names come through. Yeah, so, XRP obviously is one that has a huge community to it. I've actually traded XRP quite often in many times here, right? And at the end of the day, like this was actually one that back in 2017 was a major performer for me. Did not take profit, sadly, at $3 back in the day. But aside from that, just the moves, 100% moves here and there definitely allow for some decent gains to be made. Maybe you're building a bigger bag for the future, whatever the case is, right? So I've acquired a lot around this 50-cent mark, which we've pretty much been at for a long time, right? Ever since we've been trading there around this overall time frame, but once we came back into it around August of last year, right? So almost a full year we've been kind of around this 50-cent area. Definitely had some pullbacks in the meantime. But we're getting a big move here, right? And then one of the things that I always kind of point out, and it's not a guarantee by any means. It's almost like a joke. But generally, when you get a large XRP pump, it's like the last move of the rally, right? And what I mean by that is it's not like the end of the whole Bitcoin bull run, and in the sense of everybody thinks like that. But just in general, we've had a really nice move off of $54,000 Bitcoin, which is what been about 2 weeks, and I'm not saying this has to be the end or it's gonna happen today, but it's just something that usually if you go back and like take a peek, it's just interesting to see. But we had a really big move here out of XRP, which is almost a little par for the course to some degree, but it's been a really quick one, right? This has been like a 60% move, basically ever since that July, the 4th of July drop on Bitcoin. Granted, it fell a good amount too, but we're coming into some key levels right now that had marked out. The next one up here is 75 cents, and the big one for me that I've been personally waiting, right? I've gotten into XRP pretty heavily around 50 cents, 49 cents, 53 cents, right? Just kind of like averaging around that region. Honestly, targeting back to like this 95 cents to $1 area. I'm not gonna like blindly hold for that, but in these areas here, definitely have some potential pullback areas. But that's a big one for me. That if we get to it, like it's that's a huge move out of XRP from the low. Now it'd be like 160% move. Guarantee everybody gets overly excited about it. Probably starts piling into XRP because that's like the number one between XRP and like Dogecoin. Those are like the two market exciters where people just go crazy once they start moving, right? And a lot of times they're like the last movers, at least of recent. So just either way, technically, these are the levels I'd be looking for. We're coming into a major target of that right now, right at 61 and 63 cents, right? These were two untapped levels. They've now been met. Potential to get a little pullback here, of course. And if we start to flip this 63-cent level, right, you're looking at back to the quarter one and basically the yearly highs for this year, right? So 75 cents, which we pushed up to back in that's the end of last year's highs even. So it's pretty much the local highs, right? All the way back up to like 75 cents. And after that, it's $1 for me, right? So that's what I'd be looking for. Wouldn't expect it overnight. Can't necessarily expect it in general, but that's how I'd be managing it at this point. Definitely coming right into resistance right now, so it's just something kind of want to pay attention for, see how things kind of play out. Very well could get a little pullback, right, to like a local gold pocket, something along those lines. Let's just see where something like that lines up with, all the way back down to the quarterly VWAP, which is like 47 cents. Might not get it, but that's just kind of something to be aware of, right? But other than that, yeah, just looking to see if we flip that and get a little jaunt up. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and ETH really quickly before the stock market, opening bell occurs. So some people looking for a XRP mega pump. Still working with verified. I'm not. Chances of a mega pump to all-time high. Are we talking about XRP to all-time high? I don't foresee that. I mean, anything's possible, of course, but The dollar area is a big one that I've been, looking to for quite some time. So, and we might not get that right away, right? So, but if we do get this is the thing, right? I'm not a news guy, but the news always correlates with those pumps, right? So, and you got to have to be prepared for. Like, I've been targeting $1 since the last several months here. Like, I ended up actually selling off a lot of my ETH back in February and March that I acquired at $1,200. I still have 25% of that allocation just in case the market continues without me. But I was anticipating a pretty decent pullback on ETH, which would translate into obviously the rest of the market. We obviously got a few more weeks of upside back then, so I ended up putting a lot of those profits into XRP, into things like Doge. Ended up flipping Doge for 100%. It wasn't my whole position by any means. I still have a lot of on the side, but yeah, a good piece of that is in XRP right now. So 63 cents is actually a take profit for me. I'm looking for that 75 cents again, and then $1. And then at that point we just got to reevaluate. I wouldn't go too crazy looking at all-time highs quite yet, but I guess anything's possible. So Bitcoin, right? I was talking about XRP a second ago for anybody that just kind of tuned in. Looking at any alt moves alongside BTC, ETH charts, Ondo, Render, Solana. Yeah, we could take a look at all those really quickly. All right, so Bitcoin, just to kind of touch on here, right? So on my last posted video on here, and then just in general, like a lot of the updates, right? Even though the Monday stream that I did with Crypto Crusader, Miguel. I think we were trading, it was Monday, early Monday. So we were like trading in this region right here, right? $62-ish thousand. And we were looking for, a potential move really nicely up into the $65,000 area, which at the time was a weekly naked point of control, which is a volume target, right? This was also we had a couple other things up here, but either way, this was the region we were looking for. We had a really nice setup as we came into it over the last few days, but at the moment, it does look like it might want to still go a little higher, right? So we did get a nice little push up right here. We had a pretty simple setup for this day right here, where we let's take Sunday, take a peek. Right, so yesterday on Monday, yesterday's Tuesday, getting my days all confused. We had a nice setup right here, right, where we came up. This was our previous day high. We came up and we swept it. Generally, that's a nice little recipe for a move down. We had our previous day point of control, which was a target there, and then we actually just rotated the previous day range, right? Simple, just little day tradable range rotation here. Came back up, once again, swept that previous day high, the Monday high once again. And that weekly naked point of control right there was met. Got a little bit of a pullback, and then since then it's just kind of been coasting sideways. So area where you wanted to see, Bitcoin pretty much holding for support for probably that next move up, where we got 67 to 67.5, is going to be a little bit below us here, right? So I'll kind of cover that right now, right? So one of the things I was looking for that larger pullback at this region was on a bit of a more of a reaction at that price, right? If we got a bigger drop from here and we started closing back below, but I had the invalidation of one thing, which was our averages of price. So we have an average of price for last quarter. We have an average for the month of June, which is July's, essentially was our target for the month, which we've come into. And I'll cover that really quickly here. I think I just added that, so we'll just take that off. And essentially, while we've come back in, right, back below that Monday high, Monday range is sets the tone, sets the pace for the whole week. It's a really important area to look to. And even if you just map out the Monday high and the Monday low, those areas can be really key throughout the week, right? So we once again have come back. It's now Wednesday, and we've come back below that Monday high. You can see we're hitting our head on it pretty nicely right here. I imagine we take a little move down towards about at least 64,272, which is yesterday's average of price now. And from here, we'll be looking, right? So honestly, at this point, unless we start really coming back down and closing here, I do imagine we probably get the move up towards 67K at this point, right? And that is due to a simple range. Let me find her in here somewhere. and is right there. So we are now well within the June range, right? So now that we're in July, we've got a new monthly range of data sets. And we've been holding up against here, right? So this was kind of, yesterday as we were coming in here, we were looking for that rejection off of the weekly naked point of control left from several weeks ago. We did originally get a nice little pullback, but as I showed earlier, this was a nice little range rotation for the day before. And then we've since then gotten back into this range now, and we've been holding pretty steadily. So in general, once we get into a range, we're going to probably seek out that point of control at times. And we have a couple of speed bumps ahead of us here. And this is the little level that I'm just looking at, right? So basically 64K, holding 64K. I imagine we hit 67. So 67 to 69 is the next major zone here for Bitcoin, which these are volume targets. These are, we've got an untapped monthly level of resistance up here at 67.5. So for me, I'm really eyeballing this one at the moment. And then, like I said, if things change, it's below $64,000. So yeah, XRP is not really rejected. It could still go, man. Like I said, $1.75 definitely on the table. Let's see here. All right. All right. So at a high level, I hope that kind of all makes sense. It's one of those things where we came down. You just got to kind of manage as we go, right? So I'll turn all this off here, and just a friendly reminder, right? All the way back here at 71,400, right? We had a potential reversal pattern that we were targeting here. That obviously played out very well, right? So here it is right there. Topped out at 70. Well, we were targeting 71,400-ish, went to like 72, but it had very specific targets along the way. One being the 113 expansion to the downside, which was the $54,000 bottom. Right, this was kind of our box target zone that we were targeting for 6 weeks. And as you can see, it's just one of those things. Like I said, you got to manage it as you go, basically. So for me, I was looking for the return at least at this point. We were looking for the long back up to the quarterly averages. Last month average of price as well, so 15% move there. And then we were looking for the next potential. This was the next potential shortable area, all right, as we came into it. Mind you, that's when we were trading down here, right? And you kind of have to see. So yesterday we saw the reactions as we went through it. We got a little bit of a pullback, but aside from that, we've been living now within that June range. So the data is different. And now you have to anticipate that at the moment, we're probably going to head up to 67. So that's the next. If you're going to be looking for any kind of a short, or if you're looking for a next take profit, it's going to be $67,000. And what I bring up Bitcoin specifically over like going through a million alts is that you can almost like, when you note that Bitcoin's coming in, when I note that Bitcoin's coming into some of these larger target areas or coming into some, entry zones or, areas where, major supports, that's when you can kind of treat your altcoin bags, with that same type of mentality, right? So if you're in something like, or if you see like an XRP move, in the next couple of days here, that's drastic, more drastic than it's already been. I know it's hard for people to take profits on XRP or things that they've probably been holding since like all-time highs, or even if they've been holding it at $1, right? The dollar's not even the all-time high, but many people probably have averaged in at that price. So we go from 50 cents to $1 now. Most people are going to be like, all right, great, I'm back to break even. Still going to hold, of course. When in reality, that's a big area where we may see another rejection on XRP, sadly enough, right? So, and that may occur when Bitcoin hits 67,000, or if we flip that and then you're looking at 69,000. So, just kind of manage it as we go. But at the moment, I'm looking up to at least 67, 67.5. $64,000 is my area that I'll start to change that direction once again, right? So, I do want to point out, and I hope that, like I said, like it's all about like the confluences of everything kind of together. This was a pretty big pattern that unfolded for like 3 months. This was from March to May, so that was a pretty sizable area, and then it took 6 weeks to unfold. Now we're getting the retracement up in this region, and overall, we still could see a rollover here, right? And the biggest, and not because I want that to happen. Obviously, I would love nothing more than the market to pump more than anybody else, right? Or just as much as anybody else. But when looking at simple range data here, once again, we've been trading within the Q1 range for quite some time here, okay? And one of the reasons that 64, this little box here area right here, 67.5, 67,000 is interesting to me. You know, is that if we do push up to that now, we're basically coming right back to the top of this range, right? You can see this little boxed out area. This is the value area high, so it's the value area of the range. Which just think of this like a, you know, like a, I don't know, like a Head and Shoulders or something like that, and you're coming up and you're basically back testing a neckline or something of that nature. Oh, SPY is coming up or down. Let me check that in a second. Stock market must have just opened then, as far as the opening bell. And yeah, so once again, just something I'm monitoring, because while we're within this range here, you know, I know it's crazy to think, and some people, because we're so far away from it, but just like when we were trading at 71.4 and you were so far away from 54, that might not have seemed likely. But we very much have, you know, the point of control of this range, which is all the way down here. You know, it's on the table. Like, and it's not something that I would imagine comes overnight, but it's just something that, like, I'm heavily aware of until we start getting back out of here again. You know, so it's just one of those things. You gotta you know, manage as we go here. So next target really is 67, 67.5, and you know, be paying attention. We get a crazy rejection up in here, then, you know, you got the possibility to come all the way back down to 58-ish, right? That's the first thing I'd be looking to. And a couple reasons there is that we've got our untapped weekly average of price. So that's the average of price of last week. Just think of like a moving average that does not move, right? Likely to get met, and especially during this week, high likelihood. And also there's the CME futures gap right there, right? So, and that's what everybody will blame it on more than anything, right? It'll be like, oh, the CME futures gap, we just came back and filled it. But yeah, if we were to come up and get a tag off this region and roll this back over to 58K, that would not be a great sign, honestly. Most people will probably be buying a dip in that region, right? And that might be an area where we just continue kind of back to the lows and stuff like that. But not here quite yet, but that's just kind of where, you know, I'm getting prepared for something along those lines. Just in the same breath there, on a simple, once again, if anybody's targeting that CME gap, right? If we do push up to 67, 67.5, CME gap, by the way, is like right here, right? It's like pretty much like right at 58. Maybe it's at 57.9 or something like that. It's like right in this window. And if we were to get a pullback from, let's just say 67.5, gold pocket would line up right there, right? So definitely would be a bounceable area if we get it. We'll see, and once again, just I'll be updating as we go. So it's you know, getting too predicty at that point. But at the moment, just seeing how we're holding up here. Hold 64, 67.5 is the one I'm looking to next. All right, it's 9:30. I got about 15 minutes left. How the gap that people are talking about. Could I see Link hitting $80, or are you delusional? I wouldn't say you're delusional. I mean, like, you know, Link is, I think Link's all-time high has been like 50. I would say that, you know, 80 is probably not a delusional target. Let's take a look at a couple things other real quick. I know somebody asked for like Ondo and stuff like that. Let's just peek at ETH really quickly, see if I got anything there. Nothing really crazy on ETH, just kind of trailing with Bitcoin. So got a lot that we left down below, like back at like 3,100, which is interesting. Yo, what's going on, EQ? Oh boy, Eric. Why was this interesting to me? I'd like to say there was a potential bat pattern that was here. That's what it is. All right, so yeah, so for ETH, you know, like might see a push up to like in this realm of where we're at, which equates to the same thing on Bitcoin, right? Where if you're looking at, you guys can't see that. If we see like you know, a $67,000 push on Bitcoin, 67.5, something like that, you know, and ETH pushes up to like 36 area and gets a rejection. There's a couple areas right above here, but if this, and this is not a guarantee, these things fail all the time, just like any other type of pattern, but they are very specific, you know, as far as like their target zones, especially when they do activate. So I'd be looking for like a rejection area around here, and then the target of this is all the way back to your B leg, which is right where we have last week's average, which is right where we have a volume target, weekly naked point of control, a couple things there, but nothing confirmed quite yet. But that would be, if we see that roll over on Bitcoin back to like, you know, the 58, 59, that's probably where I'd see ETH pulling back to as well. Yeah, that'd be pretty much erasing this whole week if that's the case. All right, let's take a peek really quickly at the stocks. So one of the biggest things about that $43,000 area for me, which once again, I'm not married to anything, I'm actively managing as we go, but I'm cautious at some of these areas. And you know, there's some really big high time frame patterns that have been unfolding, and I'm not talking about just like a wedge pattern that's subjective, or you know, a head and shoulders that once again is very subjective. Like these are harmonic patterns, which is a sequence of Fibonacci's, which once again, you know, feel free to study these up at theharmonictrader.com. They do fail; they're not perfect by any means, but it's definitely things that most people don't notice or won't look to. And this one is pretty good, right? This is almost a perfect like deep crab with a 1618 expansion, coming in around like 560, 562-ish. And we spent a lot of time up here, which is interesting, right? So if you go in here, we closed above it yesterday, but kind of paying attention to see, we've already opened up kind of below it again. But this is just an area, right? It's a zone that I'm really paying attention for, because if we start to reject from here on the S&P, so this is the SPY, by the way, so this is a ETF that basically is off of the S&P 500, right? So just tack another zero on this price, the 560, and that's what the S&P is sitting at, right? So 5,600. And yeah, if we see this, you know, same thing, right? This is a very, you know, couple of easy targets back down. You got your X leg, you've got the B leg. There's a couple of averages here I've kind of just, you know, put on here for confluence. But you know, that'd be like a 15-20% pullback in the S&P, which I don't think many of us could argue that that's not due, right? We've seen nothing but pretty much upside, especially on the indices and on like the Nvidias and all those. So could they keep going up? Sure. But this is an area where like, all right, now you're like, you know, you're cautious, right? It's kind of like hurricanes coming towards you. You might not get hit, you know, but you got to be aware of it, right? So that's just kind of what it's at. And if we do see a move like that out of the S&P, the last time we saw, you know, 15% pullback was 2021 December to about May of 2022, where it didn't bode well for crypto, right? So that would just all kind of align with a potential larger pullback in the grand scheme if we get it. So just putting out all the scenarios here, right? So and the Nasdaq, the same thing, and both of these tapped out on Friday, give or take. 1618 expansion perfectly, and if this sees a rejection here, once again, like 15-20% pullback, if you get it, wouldn't be overnight, probably be the rest of the summer, you know, like August, September time, you know, maybe right in time for the rate cuts to come and save the day in September if it happens. But aside from that, yeah, let's take a real quick peek at some of the altcoins. I got about 10 minutes left. Somebody asked for Ondo. Ondo's usually a fan favorite. We'll take another real quick peek at XRP just to see how she's moving. She's getting a little rejection up here, right? So like I said, we're coming into some key targets right here, short term at least, at 61 to 63 cents. From there, it's 75, and then, you know, honestly, if we kind of clear this region, I would imagine we, barring a sweep of the highs, you know, we probably actually make our jaunt up to that dollar once and for all. But no, not once and for all, like for the millionth time in the last 10 years. But yeah, key levels at the moment though, so that can't be ignored. Right, we're coming into major resistance. 60% pull, you know, move off the low so far. 63, so a nice little move there. You know, like I said, potential for, you know, pullbacks, even if you don't get to that gold pocket. You know, a nice little strong pullback zone is usually the 382, and that could be like back at like 54 cents, which I feel like we opened there today. Maybe we didn't. We did not, but there is a daily level right there. So right in the middle of the 382 and the 35, or in the 0.5. So, you know, 52 cents. Doesn't have to happen by any means, but that would be something to keep a note of. And then yeah, otherwise flip this, you know, 63 and 75 and $1 on the table again. Ondo. All right, we're making our way out. So Ondo, I had this have this range, you know, essentially pulled up that we've been kind of trading above, holding above, getting inside, and poking our head back out. So, you know, short term, and this is just a simple pull, right? So from this current high to the low, right? And I'll even take probably just go for the gold pocket on this one. We're getting out of the range, right? So boom, holding that as support, and we'll probably see a nice little push up and towards like 120, right? Live as long as we hold the range high right here. It's about $1.10-ish, $1.09 right where we're at. Look to see another push up. Let's see what else we had. Solana and Render. So Solana is pushing into the high of the range, right? So locally as well, there's a gold pocket sitting here. So and for anybody just watching that, it's just like, you know, of this like price action here. Let's just chop this up. Right, of this move, I'll just kind of line it out, right? Of this move, this is your high and this is your low, right? If this is from 0 to 100, right, this whole drop is, you know, starting at 0, and if you were to re-eat that whole drop back to 100%, there's 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%, right? So Fibonacci retracement zones are just that, broken up into percentages of a certain area. So it's obviously not, you know, this is a 61.8 to 65% retracement, but not of, that doesn't mean it pumped 65%, right? It's just of this little zone that we're looking at. It's, you know, recouped 65% of that move. And that's basically where we're at right now, into the high of a range as well, right, that we've been sitting on. Right here about like that 165 area. So really nothing crazy at the moment aside from just that. You know, you might get, you know, poke our head out of here a little bit. And otherwise, yeah, really looking to see flipping 165 for any more upside into resistance at the moment aside from that. Render. Do you guys know that there's 2.5 like 2.5 million cryptos now, by the way, because of all these meme coins and everything? Like, there's just like no way you could even keep up with the majority. Hey, thanks, Marcus. All right, I got to finish a couple minutes here. Render, kind of front running this zone right here. But that's kind of where I was looking to for a couple reasons, for some reason. Not because of that. I'd imagine just because of the gold pocket area here. Let's take a look at last quarter really quickly. Yeah, I mean, could we get a bounce here? I mean, we are getting a bounce, obviously, so definitely could. And aside from like an area for like a fresh, like mid to long term play, obviously there's, if this continues up, you know, we'll look back and say, oh, I should have bought there. But when you're like managing risk accordingly, like, you know, what's the best area you want to get involved at where you're not going to, you know, potentially be eating a 20% pullback if it occurs, right? Like XRP right now is not a great area to enter after a 63% pullback, because it could easily pull back 15, 20%, right? Just even when the rest of the market doesn't, just because it's had such an impulse move already. Doesn't have to happen, and nobody knows, but that's just like how you want to play it out, right? So for me, Render, I'm still looking for like $5, this little $5 area for the next, you know, major entry for me. Once again, I might miss this one, and that's the thing, you might miss it, right? You're gonna miss. We've missed everything, you know, for years, and if you think about it, right? You missed Bitcoin at 6 cents. You missed Ethereum at, you know, whatever, $20. if you miss something else, like it is what it is, right? So it's definitely the going risk management idea is that, you know, to constantly be getting in at ideal entries, at least if you deem it that way, right? So like versus like buying it on green days is just never gonna, it's not gonna work out in total, right? You're gonna have some kind of, you know, issues along the way. You might get lucky and win that at some point, and a lot of momentum traders will do that, and like but you have the most risk to get the pullbacks at that point. In my opinion, if you're looking for something like mid to long term holds and plays, right? Like it's just hard to come in and buy something. This isn't really that much up, obviously, at the moment. Yeah, 22%. It's actually pretty decently up. But yeah. So the overall thesis is Bitcoin's coming into some key levels. The stock market is hella at key levels right now. Could we go higher into new all-time highs? Potentially. My thing is that I just look around and not that it, you know, once again, sometimes everybody's right, I guess. But it would make more sense for me for us to kind of come down a little bit more over the summer. Once again, not married to that. I'm not like, you know, selling everything in hopes of it, but I'm just highly aware that that's a big potential right now, because if you look around, everyone is very excited coming back, like into resistance once again. You know, it's like the fear, you know, came in here, the excitement comes in here, the excitement is back now. You know, I'm hearing the terms like I'm as bullish as I've ever been, which very well could be. I mean, it's just the emotions are high, I guess is what I'm trying to put out. Like, could we head up? Sure. It's simple stair steps to kind of get there, right? 67 is the next one we want to look to. Flip that, then yeah, 69 is on the table, and then all-time high flips, and then great, you know, find some altcoins, get into, at least for me, that's what I'll be looking for. As far as the mid to long-term plays, right, I'm in and out of altcoins all the time, right? I just got in and out of WIF recently. I'm still in WIF, actually. I think WIF's doing okay. Obviously I'm in XRP at the moment. Trump was a good one. Yeah, WIF was pretty good, right? This was I don't give alerts necessarily, but it's pretty close with arrows pointing to the target zones and the analysis. I put it in the Leading Crypto Discord if anybody's interested in joining. It's 7 days free, $35 a month. If you hate it, you know, don't cancel before you get charged, I guess. But yeah, so WIF still looking for a little bit more upside, which kind of coincides with the market getting a little push here. XRP obviously coming into some key levels, which was nice, right? Looking to see if we flip that for now, but otherwise, you know, there's only a couple areas I was looking for, 61, 63. Trump was, you know, obviously I know that what happened over the weekend was not amazing by any means. Unfortunately, someone, you know, passed away. Obviously, everybody's, you know, happy to hear that, you know, he's okay, but this was a very technical setup. And, you know, at the time when we were trading up at like $17, for me, just like how I was just pointing at render, right? So render is like whatever, 20% higher right now. It's not the end of the world. But for Trump, when we were trading like 15, if you weren't in that yet, you had missed a huge move, right? And I targeted one area to get in at, and it was 457, and that was my area. If I wanted to get it, I set an alert, and that's where I got in at. And then at here, or during this little move right here, right, we put on literally I put it in on the 11th for the move, basically back to high of the range, untapped monthly average, daily level right here, and over the weekend it hit. Could it be according to the news? For sure, but the question that comes after that is that why did it stop, right? You know, the news obviously has continued to be good, right? We're getting, as far as like in correlation to that deal, I guess. But yeah, we stopped right here, major reversal. It was a very technical play, right? And this was a huge move. This was like 100 and something percent, just to the 115%, 140 to the high if you know, somehow sold the wick high, which I doubt many did, but this was a nice play there, right? So what I brought that up for is the render idea, or like, you know, could I have missed Trump? Could it have continued up without me? Whatever. Could it continue up without me now? Yeah, I'm not in it right now, right? I actually completely exited in this little region from this move here. I know. Looking for more of a pullback to see if we get in, but that was a good enough play for me. And you know, if there's another opportunity, I'll take it. But that's what I bring up with the render thing, right? It's one of those things that we don't know at the time when it's really pushing. It's exciting, but you map out some good key levels. And, you know, go from there, right? And there's 2.5 million cryptos now, so there's always going to be something. I am going to be jumping on with Alex Costa, World War Bitcoin here in just a second on, I guess, here. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to hop off of this one, though, really quickly. If anybody's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord server where I post all my analysis, trade setups, everything like that. Got an academy, covers all the tools, resources I use daily, all included with the membership. You can try it for 7 days free as well to start off. That is in the link in the bio, of course. Otherwise, just be sure to follow and stay tuned for more live streams. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Render needs product market fit and users bad. Token is heavy. I agree. What's going on, Evan? All right, everybody. I'll see you all over with World War Bitcoin in just a bit. Have a great morning.